level of government. Meanwhile, Republicans hoping to counter that cash infusion with an infusion of a presidential visit. President Trump slated to hold a rally Saturday afternoon in downstate Murfreesboro. There he's expected to campaign for Republican Congressman Mike Bost, who is facing a tight battle for re-election against Democrat Brendan Kelly. Recent polls show Bost leading by just 1 point, despite the downstate district's overwhelming support for Trump in the 2016 election. It's kind of unclear if other congressional Republicans are going to try to take advantage of that visit for their own campaigns. But hey, in a major shift today, the governor told reporters he'd actually like to go.
I hope to be able to join the president when he's here. His schedule is very hectic, as is mine, but we're going to try to overlap. I look forward to getting together with the president if we can, talk about trade, talk about immigration, and some of the other policies that are very important for Illinois.
Well, Rauner did not attend a July rally with President Trump in Granite City. Mostly, actually, he's been avoiding being associated with the president ever since the 2016 campaign. Let's dig into this. Joining me tonight in our WGN studios is Kathleen Murphy. She's the communications director at the Illinois Opportunity Project. She's a conservative political strategist. Kathleen, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, what's that all about? I mean, the governor has gone nowhere near President Trump, avoiding it all, and all of a sudden, yeah, we ought to get together and talk. He's running scared, maybe?
Well, I mean, he must realize by now that he's alienated conservatives with some of his policy choices that were the reason Jeannie Ives got into the race against him in the primary. President Trump's wildly popular in Southern Illinois. He won some of those districts by 30–40%. So it's a good move for Mike Bost to have. I don't know what the governor will end up doing. I did talk to a couple of guys in Southern Illinois just to see. I knew he was coming here. They said that, they don't have any kind of confirmation about that. They hadn't really heard about that. So right now, but I know everybody wants to make this race about the president. But what really
the president wants to make this race about the president. Let's be honest about it.
That's a good point. But in Illinois, and especially all over Illinois, from North Shore, Scottie Pippen, who just listed his house, property taxes were $39,000 he paid last year, to downstate in Murfreesboro, where they're going to be turning out for the president, to Decatur, Illinois. Families across the state are dealing with insanely high property tax rates, the highest in the nation. People are being priced out of their homes. They're moving out of their homes. That's what this election needs to be about. I mean, that's the uniting issue across the state. And so I know that President Trump's visit is going to grab a lot of eyes, but really what families are concerned about day to day and what they want to hear about is, what are you going to do to alleviate that burden?
Well, Kathleen, you're right that when you look at polls, people are concerned about health care. People are concerned about the economy. It's the president who's talking about immigration every chance you get, caravans and all this kind of stuff. But when he does his rallies, he'll be doing another one tonight for Ted Cruz in Texas. That's a conversation for another day. But the point of it is, when he's there talking about these issues or trade or China, I mean, you just heard the governor say, I want to talk to him about immigration or trade. So you're right. It might be that the public says, talk to me about health care and the economy, but the president isn't, and now the governor isn't.
Well, and I guess on the property tax issue, it's more than about who's talking about. It's what people are feeling, and we have lost congressional districts due to outmigration. We have some of the highest outmigration rates in the nation, and that's why people want to hear about that issue. And it's the one thing that unites everybody. But yes, yeah, the Governor Rauner knows he needs to take some risks here.
He's got to reach conservatives.
Time's running out.
Well, let me ask you this. Look, Sam McCann,
yes.
I mean, he's running in the aptly named Conservative Party.
Yes.
So here's the guy who said, I'm going to step in, I'm going to grab all those conservatives. Well, he's polling at very, very low numbers.
Right.
But he's done something interesting. He's done a mailing recently where he's called, well, you tell our viewers what it is his mailing does. It's really fascinating.
Well, sure. He mailed, and so Sam McCann, running on a conservative ticket. He's pro-union, but pro-life also. Southern Illinois Republican. He's mailing into conservative districts like Tom Morrison's district in Palatine,
Sam
Yingling's opponent's district, saying that they are rhino Republicans because they have not endorsed Sam McCann because he's pro-life.
And to call Tom Morrison a rhino is about as far off base as you can get.
You cannot find a more principled conservative in the General Assembly than Tom Morrison.
But so my question is, if Sam McCann wants to bill himself as that missing conservative voice, why isn't he polling better? I mean, what I'm saying is maybe the governor doesn't have much to worry about in terms of the loss of the conservative component of this election. Maybe they're still behind him over Pritzker.
Yeah. Well, you know, there are two independents. There's a libertarian candidate. There's Sam McCann. I think that you are going to see maybe a large contingency of undecideds at the top of the ticket. But for families who, you know, I do think that the conservatives are a concern for the governor. I still do believe that. And for families who wanted to vote for somebody who represented that conservative reform agenda, that would seriously address property tax reform, that would seriously address pension reform, the substance of those issues that you might have voted for Jeannie Ives in the primary, or Bruce Rauner in 2014, you can still vote for people who represent the substance of that issue. Down ballot in races like Amy Kesem, who is in the north side of Chicago here, for Tom Morrison, Peter Breen, people who will stand up on those issues and hold government accountable on those issues. And
they're going to fight their own battles. Just curious, do you think the issues like, you know, JB and his Pritzker in the toilets and Bruce Rauner, and actually this was just news today, hiring chair people for boards and mostly white men and some women and not enough African Americans, and of course the lawsuit against the Pritzker campaign about alleged racism and such. Is that stuff all baked in the cake? Do you think that's influencing anybody at this point, or do you think people are voting their pocketbooks and the rest of that stuff is just white noise?
I think those are serious issues. I think that that people do look at that and they listen to it, and it does influence. I don't think it's going to influence a large enough portion to sway the election right now. I think the governor is he's about 20 points behind. I don't think you're going to see him. He may close the gap some, but I don't think you're going to see him, you know, really be able to capitalize on that issue. He does need to take some sort of a risk that would give people a reason to look at him in a different way, and he would need to do it really rather quickly.
I'm sorry, I got to step in on that because I mean you make a great point. So if you were advising the governor, you do advise campaigns. If you were advising the governor, what would you tell him to do? He goes, I'm 20 points behind, Kathleen. What do I do?
Well, I mean, if I were advising the governor, I perhaps would have told him a long time, you know, a long time ago, you know, that you're going to need to get some results on the promises that you make. But at this point, he needs some sort of a breakout moment almost, where people stop, where it grabs eyes and people stop and go, that's not who I thought he was, and it, you know, shifts public opinion.
So is that breakout moment a breakout moment an anti-Pritzker thing, or is that breakout moment something somehow he talks about how he can accomplish in a second term what he couldn't do in the first term, which is essentially to beat down Madigan?
Well, I think it would need to be something that reframes the choice between him and Pritzker. That clarifies, you know, why he is the right choice in people's minds, and I, you know, off the top of my head, can't think of what exactly it would be. But
well, he needs to, not
something
you.
exciting.
And then finally, people like Mike Boston, whatever. Does Donald Trump make it? I know Trump's popular. Does he make a difference in races like that, or maybe Rodney Davis, or just some of those folks?
Does Trump make a difference?
Does Trump make a difference? His
I
presence?
think it's a good move for Mike Boston, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's wildly popular in this district. He's mixed around the state. Illinois is a really diverse state, so he doesn't poll as well in suburban districts. He does poll, I mean, he won some of those Southern Illinois districts by 30, 40 points. That's huge. So, yeah, that's an influence. That's a big bump up.
Smart to bring him in on Saturday. All right. Kathleen Murphy is the Communications Director at the Illinois Opportunity Project. Thanks for your insight. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's always good to see you. Thank you. Coming up next.